How to succeed with rent-to-rent Airbnb. My name is Ryan, teaching entrepreneurs just like you how to acquire property fast. Airbnb is a very powerful strategy, also known as serviced accommodation. I don't actually like to use the word Airbnb because it's associated with damage, stag do's, hen parties, trash properties, etc. because it has had a bit of bad press over the years, and that's one of the first tips that you need when you start speaking to landlords about trying to acquire their properties on a rent-to-rent basis to use as an Airbnb strategy. But for me, serviced accommodation is very lucrative. We can take one property, we can rent a property off a landlord, pay their market value rent so they're getting exactly what they want, and we can offer a different service out using that property, and ultimately we then get a higher gross revenue and everything in between in terms of the cost, the linen, the operations, the cleaning, etc. After all those costs are deducted, we still make quite a healthy profit. Even this morning, I've just taken a £2,910 booking on a 3-bed flat in Newcastle. That flat would typically rent out for £600 a month. That in itself is why serviced accommodation is a hugely powerful strategy, and it's why you should be doing it today. To succeed with serviced accommodation, you need a few key principles. You've got to find a good deal, you've got to find a good property. You've got to know that that property is going to work, and that comes down to good due diligence and good research. Don't be buying deals off deal sources. Teach yourself how to do it so you understand. Research and due diligence is the number one failing that I see when I see investors bringing properties to me because they're not working and they're not profitable because they've paid far too much rent to get into the property, or they've done bad due diligence and there's not enough traffic going to be coming to these areas or the properties that they've set up. You've also got to have a good bed mix, so you've got to decide what your avatar is. You've got to decide what you're going to go after. Are you going to go after the tourist industry? Are you going to go after the business industry? For me, in many cities, you can actually combine both, which is a great strategy. You can get your Monday, Friday bookings in, and then you can get your tourists coming on a weekend. And when you're in peak summer season, July, August, September, then you get the benefit of both, and ultimately the businesses start fighting with the tourists, which ultimately means that you can put your prices up, which is fantastic, and it means that you get some great revenues, you're very occupied, and there's a lot of profit to be made in the summer peak months. Now obviously some areas have different seasons, your likes of Cornwall, Newquay, places like that. Properties down there are more than likely only going to work during peak season, so you need to make sure that the money is going to be enough to cover you for the down season, and make sure that in the off-peak seasons you are still going to be able to pay the bills, or you're still going to be able to get some bookings, or ultimately that in the peak seasons there's enough money there to pay a decent profit over the year. It's not a monthly profit, it's not the same amount of money in each month. The money that you receive fluctuates. Now I will always get one big booking per year at least on every single one of my properties, whether it's a 1-bed flat or a 6-bed house. Every single year we get one monster booking, and that is what makes serviced accommodation. So some months we might just tick by making £300 or £400 profit. Some months we might actually lose a bit of money, especially months like January, etc. But every single property at some point during the year will get a decent booking. This morning alone we've just had just shy of a £3,000 booking on a 3-bed flat in the middle of Newcastle, which would normally rent out for £600 a month. Because it's a long-term booking, we won't be doing as many cleans, we won't be changing the linen that often, so ultimately the cost to run that operation during that booking is going to be very minimal, and that will give us a nice healthy return on our August profits because of that one single booking on that flat. Now, a typical flat will only earn £250 to £300 a month in my area anyway, running it as a single let. So that's kind of my guideline whenever I'm sort of trying to invest. If I can use somebody else's property and I can make £300 a month, which is £3,600 a year, it's just a simple case of how many of them do I want? How many £3,600 do I want? For most people that's probably 5 or 10, and that gets them to their financial freedom figure where they can leave their jobs, or they can start putting their feet up and just letting this business tick like clockwork. But for me, the main thing to succeed is due diligence. You've got to know what you're getting into. You've got to know before you even get into the property that it's going to work. And if you're not doing proper due diligence, or you're trying to fudge the figures to say you've got a deal, then it's going to blow up in your face. You're going to end up running these properties, you're going to be cleaning them yourselves because you're not going to be able to afford to pay a cleaner, and you're just going to be running it, you're going to be running yourself into the ground trying to just keep your head above water on these properties. But if you get it right, you get the location right, you piggyback off other people's experience. The setup of these properties, the operational side of these properties, yes, they're very complicated, but they can easily be taught. And once you get your own systems and processes running, you start figuring it out yourself, you can make it work. I started with no experience in this, so I built this all from nothing. But you test and you try, and if it works, great, you keep it. If it doesn't work, you try something else. And we're always trying to tweak things, we're always trying to refine it as much as we can, get it more automated, get it more systemized. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how good you are at that side of it. If you've bought a bad egg, or a dud property as I call it, then unfortunately you're going to lose money. So it's vitally important that you get the research at the beginning done properly, that you understand, maybe even pick the brains of some experienced SA operators. There's plenty of groups out there that you can do it. Flash me a message, and just check that the areas work, check the demand. There's easy ways. For me, there's sort of 3 or 4 core principles, which is how many hotels are in the area, how many other Airbnb operations are in the area, how many listings are there on booking.com, so really focus on that. And then check the calendars as well. Are they booked? Check the reviews. How many reviews have they had? How long have they been in operation? How long has a hotel been there? All great signals that the area will work, to give you the confidence that you can go and execute this strategy and start getting £3,000 bookings on £600 flats yourself. So get involved. It's a great strategy. It's only going to get busier with COVID. People are going to want these serviced apartments, serviced houses, rather than staying in hotels. Don't forget, if you want more of these type of videos, subscribe to my channel. But if you want to take your property game to the next level, log on to nextlevelpropertyinvesting.com and book a call with myself. It's a 30-minute strategy call, free of charge. We just discuss where you're at now and how I can get you to the next level. Have an awesome day. Take care.